What's going on, everybody? This is Island Hopper TV coming to you from Philadelphia. We're going to show you the best things to do. That's right, Island Hoppers. We've got a list of 20 things for you to see and do while you're here in the city of brotherly love. This here is Philadelphia. Let's get started. First up on the list is one of the easiest ways out of the box for someone to see the city. This is the hop-on, hop-off bus. They do have several different buses that you can do these tours, and they take you around most of the old city, and then they take you to the new city. So if you really want to see Philly in one day, consider doing the hop-on, hop-off bus, and starting early and then finishing later in the afternoon. Now there are several different tours that you can do. For example, Big Bus Tours, they offer a 3-day hop-on hop-off bus, which is for those of you looking to do a slower pace. That might be ideal. Tickets cost $75 for adults, $28 for children, and that's the 3-day tour. The $39 for adults and $24 for children for the night tour. Now there's the Philadelphia Sightseeing hop-on, hop-off bus, and you can do that one for a day. Several of the attractions that we'll be showing you along this video are actually stops for these hop-on, hop-off, like this one here in Chinatown, as well as the next one. Here we are at the Reading Terminal Market. Open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. This is one of the most famous markets in the country, and the main reason is because it was one of the nation's first successful public markets. Here you'll find 75 independent small businesses. Most of them are restaurants, and if you're looking to do some really serious chowing down on Philadelphia food, come here, because you don't want to come here with a full belly. There's going to be lots of food options, and you're going to want to take advantage. I would say maybe even consider eating from multiple different booths. Now here we are at Philadelphia's Magic Garden. This here is a mosaic made mostly of street art, and they've put together a really cool collection. You can walk all around, go downstairs, upstairs, indoors, and it's a community of arts, and Isaiah Zager was the person who built this. I would suggest booking online, mostly because when you get there, they're going to tell you to book the ticket online with the QR code. So if you can get the ticket before, you might even be able to get a better price. It does fill up quickly, and they do time slots only. So definitely try to get that time slot booked and show up there so you're not waiting around. Ticket prices are around $15 for adults, $12 for kids. I've also seen tickets for as low as $5 to $10 online. It just depends on where you go. Now, as we continue to show you around Philadelphia, I want to let you guys know where Philadelphia gets its name. Philos, which means loving, and then Adolphos, which means brother. So that's how it got its name, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. The population here is around 6.5 million in the metro area. But the pop culture name for Philadelphia is Philly, which is just short for Philadelphia. Philly, Philadelphia, Philly cheesesteak, that's where it goes. Let's keep this tour moving. One of the most iconic buildings in Philadelphia is the Philadelphia City Hall. This is the seat of municipal government for the city. So when you're down here, you might want to take a picture, walk around, take a look at the Benjamin Franklin and George Washington statue where they're shaking hands. This is in front of the Masonic Temple, right next to the City Hall. This is pretty much where I like to begin my Philly walking tour. From this point, you can either go down Arch Street, which is what I did, and then I arrived at the park here. Here we are now at JFK Park, also known as Love Park. On a hot summer day, you'll see people all around these fountains in Philadelphia just trying to cool off. Kids love these fountains. Now, for those of you who want to do some walking, this is the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. It is 1 mile. It stretches from Logan Circle to the Philadelphia Museum of Art, which will be showing you the Rocky Steps. But in between here, you'll see many of the city's top cultural institutions. For those of you considering doing the hop-on, hop-off bus, this is also going to be able to take you down this road for those of you who don't want to do the walking. But you can see many different fountains here for cooling off. People like to get in there. Also the birds. You'll see lots of birds in those fountains. Now here we are at the Franklin Institute, one of the leading science centers in the United States. It's prominent for education and cultural resources, and it's a big part of the local economy. It is also the most visited museum in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and a top 5 destination in the city of Philadelphia. Now, one thing that I did acknowledge about Philadelphia coming from Washington, D.C., where all of the museums are free, once you get to Philadelphia, you're back to paying for museums. Pretty much all of the museums you're going to have to pay, and you pay a pretty coin for some of these museums. For example, here at the Franklin Institute, it costs $25 for adults 12 and up. Children under 12 are $21. And if you are active duty or retired military, you can save $2 as well. If you wanted to see our Washington, D.C. travel guide, I would suggest you guys watch that. I'll put a link to that below. We've now arrived at the Rocky Steps here at the Philadelphia Art Museum. Now, here's the deal. These are just steps. I mean, they're famous steps because of the movie, but one thing that I would say is cool is running up and down the steps. So if you're looking for a good workout, people come here, they do that. Other than that, I don't really know that this is going to be too amazing. At least it wasn't for me, other than the fact that, hey, this is where Rocky ran the steps in the movie. There's also a statue nearby. Now, the museum, that's another story. Basically built like something straight out of the Greek Empire. The landmark building does have an impressive art collection, which is among the top ones in the country and even in the world. Now, you do have to pay to go in here unless you come on the first Sunday of the month from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. or every Friday night from 5 p.m. to 8:45. If you don't show up during those hours, it is $30 for adults. Students with a valid ID, that's half price, around $14, and use 18 and under, actually they're free, so that's great. Now, this museum here is at the very end of the Benjamin Franklin Parkway. There are a few other museums in between that you can check out. But from here, what we actually ended up doing was heading over to this park here. It is the most famous park in all of Philly, called Fairmount. Now, there's a lot to see here, like the waterworks along the Schuylkill River, and you get nice views right when you step out of this museum. I was here in spring, the late April, and you can see the colors on the trees. Some of them are cherry blossoms. Now, they look beautiful, but for me, they were making my allergies go a bit crazy, so it's a double-edged sword with those beautiful trees. Now, right along here, you have the Boathouse Row, which is where there's a lot of these boathouses for people who like to do canoeing and other water sports. So you can check it out there. And people also sing, dance, exercise along this trail. And we ended up walking further into Fairmount Park. Like I said, this is one of the best parks in all of the country. It's really big. It crosses over the river, actually. So it's on two different sides of this river. And actually on the other side is the Philadelphia Zoo, for those of you who love zoos. I don't have any video of that, but you guys get the idea of a zoo because there's one in basically every city. But yeah, Fairmount Park, definitely a place to walk around, exercise, and just get out of the city if you ever need to do that. Here we are now at the Independence National Historic Park. For those of you who want to learn about the history of the United States, this here is where it all began, in the city of brotherly love. And the Independence Park is where you'll find out lots of information. They have the Liberty Bell here. It's really popular with people, but you have to stand in line sometimes for up to an hour. But what I really enjoyed was going across the street to the Constitution Center, and the tickets range anywhere between $11 to $15 per person. If you try to book online, you can probably save some money as well. But this is where I got most of the information, and then you get a walk around these life-size statues of the founding fathers as they were drafting the founding documents for the United States. They've got George Washington in there, Ben Franklin. You could take pictures with them, but that was really what I enjoyed, was the Constitution Center. Now, Congress Hall in Philadelphia served as the United States Capitol from 1790 to 1800. That was before it was moved to Washington, D.C. There was a few reasons why they moved, but one of the reasons was Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson couldn't compromise on certain subjects, but there was also a grudge against the Pennsylvania state government. Now, right next to the Liberty Bell area, there is the Benjamin Franklin Gravesite, the final resting place for Benjamin Franklin, and I believe his wife is right next to him. You can actually go inside there. It's $5 for adults, $2 for children. Here we are now at Elfreth's Alley. Now, this is actually a museum, survived the 21st century as a residential street. It's a historical landmark because it's considered the nation's oldest residential street that's been continuously lived upon. Most of the people who actually live here have inherited the real estate here, so it's generationally passed down. Another street is called South Street here in Philadelphia. It's considered the edgiest street in Philadelphia. There's a melting pot of cultures and ethnicities down here, and people like to walk around just to get the vibes of what they consider to be real Philadelphia. And in fact, the Magic Garden is down here. If you guys remember earlier in the video, we showed you the Magic Garden. Well, that's right down here. And some of that Magic Garden street art kind of pours out into the streets around here as well, so you'll see some mosaics. That's South Street, don't forget it. Now let's talk about some of the Philadelphia food. Lots of variety here. I had ramen, I had Chinese food, and then I also had a Philly cheesesteak, can't forget about that, and Philly pizza. Now here we are at Spruce Street Harbor. This is a nice area to walk around in the evening time. It's right there on the Delaware River, so cool place to hang out. They also have some old boats and ships down here that you can walk around and do some dining. But this whole area right here lights up at night. They have hammocks, and I really enjoy chilling out here. It's one of my favorite places in all of Philadelphia. This is a more up-close look at those Penn's Landing Marina ships. If you actually went across the river here, you'd end up in Jersey. That there is Camden. So that just gives you an idea of where you're at when you're down here. Now, Philadelphia is a major sports city. They have the Philadelphia Eagles, where they play at Lincoln Field, so try to catch a game if they're in town. They also have the Philadelphia Eagles baseball team, very popular. And then they have hockey with the Philadelphia Flyers and basketball with the 76ers. Now, that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV from Philadelphia. If you guys want to see more, subscribe to the channel. We're going north to New York, Boston, even over towards Pittsburgh. I did skip Baltimore. I have the footage. If you guys want the Baltimore video, let me know. You can watch those videos next.